The US dollar has been the dominant force across the globe since dropping the gold standard and moving into a standard based on oil. They call it the petrodollar. But many of these oil-producing nations who keep this alive are starting to rethink their positions. They want a new currency. They want dollar dominance to end. Could this new currency be backed by Bitcoin? There's a better chance of that happening than you think. So think hard, because it's time for Chico Crypto. The oil-producing nations are going hard against the US, and yesterday the markets didn't react well to the news. With an overall fall off of a cliff, the only thing going up was oil. I wonder why. Well, because OPEC Plus agreed to deep oil cuts despite pressure from the United States. From the article, we can see it says OPEC Plus agreed to its deepest cuts to oil production since a 2020 Rona panic. Saudi Arabia and other members of OPEC Plus, which groups the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and other producers including Russia, have said they are seeking to prevent volatility rather than to target a particular oil price. The West has accused Russia of weaponizing energy, creating a crisis in Europe that could trigger gas and power rationing. This winter, Moscow meanwhile accuses the West of weaponizing the dollar in financial systems, such as SWIFT, and retaliation for Russia sending troops into Ukraine in February. The West is accusing Russia and other OPEC Plus nations of manipulating oil prices, while Russia and other OPEC Plus nations like Venezuela and Iran are accusing the West of manipulating the financial system. Obviously, they are starting to think about alternatives to USD. All our dominance, the writing is on the wall, and that writing is getting clearer with each passing day. Back in June of this year, it was announced that the BRICS nations, whose primary members include Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, were looking to create their own reserve currency. From the article we can see it says the matter of creating the international reserve currency based on the basket of currencies of our countries is under review. Putin told the BRICS Business Forum, "We are ready to openly work with all fair partners," then lower down. In the article we can see it states this is a move to address the perceived U.S. hegemony of the IMF, ING's global head of markets Chris Turner said in a note. It will allow BRICS to build their own sphere of influence and unit of currency within that sphere. Now you may be saying, what about the OPEC Plus nations, nations like Saudi Arabia and other Middle Eastern oil-producing countries that are not a part of BRICS? Well, further down in the article it states one possibility is that the BRICS basket currency could attract the reserves not just of the group members but also countries already in their range of influence. These include nations in South Asia and the Middle East. So these oil-producing OPEC nations are likely going to be involved in the creation of this new reserve currency and the BRIC. Patients are moving quickly with its creation, as we can see. Earlier this week, more news was released regarding the reserve currency. This article, BRICS countries hold talks on reserve currencies, states the BRICS countries are working on establishing a new reserve currency to better serve their economic interests. Ambassador-at-Large of Russia's Foreign Ministry Pavel Kanatsy said the possibility and prospects of setting up a common single currency based on a basket of currencies of the BRICS countries is being discussed. According to the diplomat, member states are actively studying mechanisms to exchange financial information to develop a reliable alternative for international payments. So what about Bitcoin? Will this benefit BTC? Well, from this article titled Putin's BRICS, New Currency Could Benefit Gold and Bitcoin, we can see it states safety, liquidity in return make a great reserve currency, which is why BRICS could potentially look towards gold. We doubt the mercantilist nations involved in BRICS would want to transfer valuable FX reserves into this more local sphere of influence. If they are worried about the path of sanctions and the increasing weaponization of the dollar, they, like Russia, might prefer to move into gold. Another asset that could benefit from a bigger de-dollarization move is Bitcoin, said Wells Fargo's Real Asset Strategy head John LaForge. Gold and Bitcoin will benefit from this, and they both could be used to back the currencies of the BRIC nations who would be involved in the reserve basket of currencies. So are the BRICS nations and the OPEC nations starting to warm up to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. While everyone knows Russia is back, in March of this year it was announced by Russian lawmakers that the country would be willing to trade